hydration. These things are good for water. You know, you buy one every now and then so they don't get nasty. And use it for water. Okay, so let's look at this now. So C, remember, can be played at the long or the short pattern, but let's look at the length of these patterns. This is the longest it's going to get, the S3XL here. Okay, it's going to be 5, 6, 7, but what? The tuning warp's going to take it up another fret. So it's longer than just 2 whole steps, because if it hits the tuning warp, it's going to be even longer. Alright? So that's something to keep in mind with the length of the S3XL. And then look at this now. Let's look at, here's the CEG banner, the short pattern banner, CEG. Okay, and then here's the A banner, the next cage shape up, ADE. The length of that C banner and that A banner is from this 3 to this 6 sharp, essentially to the B flat, from the E to the B flat. Okay? Now in the case of C with the short pattern, all right, it's not quite as long as the tri-pentatonic of the next shape up from the starting pattern. But if you look at the next, you look at the E situation now, this just happens to be a fourth away. This is the diminished fourth, right? The E string shape fourth, the KG fourth, right? Now remember, in caged, if you're going in fourths, you go backwards in caged and skip a letter. So C backwards in caged is to D, which is an increasing pentatonic scale, C to D to E. But skip one letter, C gets you to the E there in fourths again. You could use the caged word to get around to help you do fourths and fifths. So in the E box here, I want you to look. We have the E tri-pentatonic banner, okay, right here, and this is as long as it gets, just from 7 to 2. And then the next shape up from E is our G shape, DGA, tri-pentatonic banner. We have right here the D shape. This isn't the G shape, it's the D shape. If I said G, I'm sorry. And that goes from the 7 to the root here, you know, about this long, from this D flat here, if we're in the key of C, up to the F there. Okay? The length of this S3XL here, first of all, it does not include notes on this side, okay, because they can't be played. This is the fret nut. So it's not as long as the C cage, and it also doesn't include the fourth in this case. Now let's make sure that's true. So we go into an S3XL, just the root part, root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we go 7 root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 root. Okay, the long pattern does cover that fourth now. The S3XL doesn't cover it, but the S4L does. And then on top, do we have a G? Oh, we have the top part of our S4L. So we are covering that. So in most of the other cages, we're not getting the two short patterns are shorter than the long, are longer than the long pattern by the amount that the fret nut that is in the no play no zone, sunken notes zone. So that's one thing to remember about the two short patterns. They're always longer than the long pattern. In the case of the C, it's not quite as long on the right side of the pattern. In E, A, D, and G, it's not as long on the left because you can't access those. You can access them with the short pattern if we weren't playing on the fret nut. If we're just doing a lead and we're up in the middle of play zone, yeah, the E can access that stuff. So we do that S1E. So if you're doing something like then you just follow that diatonic for that E-shaped C. So you're on this. You see how I got that little, that was just a mixolydian, but it was up here. That's all it is. It just sounds better on guitar. On piano, it just sounds like you're playing scales. But on guitar, it has a lot more feeling to it. So that's the name of that tune. As far as what's going on with the length of the patterns, okay? So we always have the two shorts. In this case, we have G, C, D, and A, D, E. Now let's look at that G, C, D. Remember, it's a little pattern review here. The G pattern starts on the G string shape, 6/7 root. If we play that, if we want to play that G, we want to play that G pattern, it's going to be, it's not listed here because this is covering the A pattern here. You know, it's going to be an S5G. Okay, but pentatonically, if we play that, if we play the fourth and the fifth of that, we get this thing up here. So we get the A string shape, the A shape, and then we can take the fourth and the fifth of that. And notice the length of these two. The length of this guy right here, okay, is equal to the length of this one and this one. I'll just put it right here so we know. This is kind of fun sometimes. Right there, you see the length of this A and this G here? This is equal to the length of this hybrid tri-pentatonic. Okay? So, again, with the G, I was just going to play the little, you know. And then you get a C shape. And then you get a D shape. Put all three of these together, and what do you get? You get the G-shaped root diatonic, which is that S5G. Okay, so that works. That was just a little review. So let's advance. Let's see if we can advance a little bit. So we're going to move on to another chart here. So hopefully we can not get Andy's backyard there. And let's look at this chart here. This is today's chart. Alright, just had to check something. Alright, so chart 113, modal long pattern, arpeggios, modal arpeggio chord shapes, focus and long patterns. What that's essentially saying is what is going on with the modes and the long patterns. Okay, and what I can tell you right now, let's look at the pattern fretboards. That's just this one. This is just pattern fretboards right here. Practically a chart in itself. Pattern fretboards. Just right there. Okay, so what's going on with the modes and the long patterns? Now we know